Hi everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Today we're going to start some outside stuff. This is a job that we started planning back in the spring, and now we're kind of running out of nice weather. I'm not sure, it'll probably be the middle of winter by the time you see this, but it's, the middle of October right now. So what we're going to do is, back here behind the shop, we want to make a little bit of a fenced in yard for the dogs, and we're going to build in the middle here like some kind of a little fort or crazy dog house for them. We're going to put a shed in the back corner for Deb for her gardening stuff, and then eventually we're going to continue the yard over behind the house and make it bigger and put a deck and stuff like that. So this is the first steps we're cleaning up, and at the same time we've got one propane tank that heats the garage, and we've got two over there that heats the house. And we're going to switch these out to one of those big, long horizontal tanks. It'll be just outside of this place. So let's get started. Let's get this stuff out of here. We got to get the grass cut down and mark out our perimeters and stuff. We've got everything laid out. So you can see here, it's the same width as the garage, 36 feet. And we've come back 30. We've traced it out with that upside down paint marker thing. And everywhere where there's a cross is where there's a post. You don't want to exceed 10 feet between the posts. So the only place they're 10 feet is back over there. They're exactly 10 feet. And these ones here are 9 feet apart. So that's good. What we're going to do now, what we're going to try to do now, I'm going to attempt to go down with this thing, and we've got to do our main posts have to be set in concrete. So if this makes me angry, I'll go and get the post hole digger on the tractor. But I kind of think in the time that it takes me to go put the post hole digger on the tractor, I might be able to do this by hand. Here we go, but it's getting a little warm already. Not bad for the end of October. All fun and games till you hit a rock. So here we've got, this is a main post and this is a line post. So your main posts are anywhere where there's a corner or on either side of a gate or the end of the fence. And your line posts go in between, spaced no more than 10 feet. Now, I'm no fence expert. There may be some formula that every so many line posts you should put a main post in a run. I'm not sure because we haven't got any runs here that big. So that's what we're going to do. So here we're going to have a 6-foot gate. So we're going to have main posts here on either side. A smaller gate over there, same thing, and there'll be a line post right in the middle here. So what we've done, we've dug this hole down about 2 feet, and we're going to drive this main post in just a little bit. So what you want to end up with is the post 2 feet taller than the fence. So we're using 5-foot chain link, so we're going to want this post 5'2" sticking out of the ground. I'm going to use Deb as because she's 5'2". I'm just going to get her to stand there, and that'll be how I know it's in. We got our post pounder here. We're just going to start it nice and slow, and we've got our cross here, so we know where exactly the center of the post has to be. It's not an exact science. We're not building engines here, but we still want to get it close. There, I think that's pretty good. Let's measure it. Oops. I went an inch too far. That's okay, I'll pull it back out some. I remember Steve Austin used to do this a lot. There. Let's see here. Let's see. 62. Good. Now we're going to put this line post in, and I've learned from the first one, I put a piece of tape on it, and we're going to drive it in until the tape is just in the ground. So here's the end of day one. We've got the cement in our main post. They're all set. It's post cement, so it sets pretty quickly. But we had a few bits and pieces left over, and we had a couple of posts and stuff left over. So what we decided, we think we're going to do, we got to price it out tonight. But we might, phase 2 of this is to go down and turn and go back to the corner of the house. It's a long story. But we may do that also while we're on this. If I come back tomorrow and I'm putting in more posts, then you'll know we decided to do it. And another thing we found out was that these, those get set in 62 inches from the ground, from grade. These ones, 57. So because I forgot the top rail goes on the top of them, so we had to knock them down another 4 inches or something from where we had them. But aside from that, everything's gone good. The main posts, we kind of held them with the concrete and got them plumb. These ones, some of them are off a little bit, but you just kind of literally manhandle them. We'll tweak them, give them a little tweak tomorrow and make sure they're all plumb. Then we can start putting the rails on. So, well, guess what? We've decided to do the rest of it while we're at it. So what we got to do now is we have to extend that fence line this way, but we want it straight. So what we did, we've got our string onto the second to last fence post, because I didn't have a long enough string to go all the way to the last one. And then you just bring it over, right, until it just touches that main post there, right? You see that? Right there. And that's perfectly straight. And then we'll drive a stake in. Just like that. Now we're going to pull another string right straight down the side of the house, and where it intersects this one, that's where our corner post will be. So we've got our second string line in. Now all we got to do is trace over it with the marking paint, and we can start laying out our posts. Another thing to be aware of, and I should have mentioned right from the start, although, you know, hopefully you know this already. Underground utilities, phone, electricity, natural gas, even your own water and septic lines, you need to be aware of that, know where they are. If you're not sure, call, and they will come and every municipality's got a number to call, the call before you dig number, and they'll come and check and make sure there's nothing there that you're going to you're going to get in trouble with. Now we're at the gate opening here. So what you want to do, whatever gate you're using, in this case a 72-inch gate, you want to add 3 3/4. Don't ask me how they came up with that, but that allows room for the hinges and the latch. So what we're gonna do here is we have to have these. It's a 72-inch gate plus 3 3/4, so we need 75 3/4 in between these poles. If you're not confident that you can kind of hold the tape measure there and do it freehand, a real easy way to do it is to cut a piece of wood, a piece of 2x4 or something that fits perfectly in between them, and use that as your guide going down. But we're pretty good here. We've got this pretty much where we need it to be, and we'll send her home. All right, as far as the cement goes, we're using bags of pre-mix, ready mix. It's called Post and Fence. You get it at the building supply. Comes in a 30 kilogram or 66 pound bag. And I mix it up kind of sticky like this, like not really wet. So it gives the pole a little bit of support, so that way I can jiggle it around and get it plumb, and it just stays there. I don't have to put stakes or supports or anything on it. So what we do is we we fill up the hole and we get it to, you know, a couple of inches below grade so we can backfill it with some topsoil after. And then I just go around with a hunk of rebar to make sure it's all scrunched down. That's pretty good. And then you literally just level it up by hand. So it's got to go that way a bit. And the cement is sticky enough that when you get it where you need it, it'll hold it there. Back of here. There we go. There, that one's perfect. Now we're going to make sure our line posts are plumb. This one here, the first one I checked, man, I did a good job hammering that one in. It's perfect. Let's check the next one. That one's good. Yep. I'm trying to find one that's out so I can show you how to fix them. Okay, this one's out a bit. So, it's pretty high tech how you fix them. It's pretty malleable steel, and you basically just give them a tweak and it's good. You don't notice them if they're tilted this way as much because it's kind of going along with the fence. They can be off a tiny bit, but this way, if you happen to be looking down the fence line and there's one post laying out, one post laying in, that'll really catch your eye and it'll look terrible. So that's all we do. I'll be back when I got this done. So here we are looking right down our line of posts, and I gotta say, it looks pretty darn good and straight to me. Now we're ready to install the top rails. So what we do, every main post, you got to knock a cap on it. These things have to be capped if you live where it gets cold, because they'll fill up with water, and when the water freezes, it'll split the post. I guess even if you live somewhere where it's warm, the thing will fill up with water and rot it out from the inside out. Anyway, just put a cap on it. And then here on the top of your line post, this is for the top rail. And you'll notice it's offset. So the offset side of it goes to the side that you want the fabric on. They call it fabric. I call it chain link. So we're going to have the chain link on the inside because the dogs will be pushing on it, right? It's better that it's on the inside. So here we start with a rail end. Just get it down a couple of inches from the top. We can adjust it later if we have to. And then you start building these. They've got a step. So it's a what do they call that? A slide fit. You can see here the end of it. The end of it steps down, so the next one slides over it, right? And then the stuff has enough give to it that you don't have to worry about bending it to make up for differences in elevation. It just kind of, gravity helps you. So what we got to do now is we have to measure for our last piece here over to this corner post. We'll get it cut, get it popped in, and then we can carry on down the street here. So to measure, we're going to measure from the bottom of our rail end over to right there where it's going to seat. We just cut this off with a pipe cutter. We'll keep this little bit around for now. You never know, you might need this tiny little bit at the end to make it, you know. For now, we'll just keep it around. There's nothing stopping us from sticking this in between two of these long ones either. I mean, they fit together pretty well, but we got plenty of it. So when we get to the corner, you'll see these rail ends are offset. So you put one that way and one this way, and it stays, you know, relatively at the same height. And a note, I have a note for you. Put these on before you drive these stupid things on. So here we've got all our top rails in. Now when we get to the bottom, there's two things you can do at the bottom. One is the tension wire. So there's literally a piece of fence wire that weaves its way through there, and you tighten it and tighten it and tighten it until it holds the fence taut at the bottom. But that, my experience over time is that it just doesn't stand up to dogs. Eventually they will find a way to get that fence pushed out. So we're going to do plan B and put a rail on the bottom right down against the ground, and that'll keep the little monsters from pushing out the bottom of the fence. Well, we hope. I'll show you how we're going to do that. To do the bottom rail, at the main post we start with a rail clamp like we did at the top. But when we get to the line post, we use this. This is called a boulevard clamp. And that goes over there like that, and it captures this guy. So we're going to cut this so it fits exactly from the rail clamp to here, and then we can install our boulevard clamp. So what you need to know when you're measuring for the length of your bottom rail, you have to remember that the clamp for the boulevard, the bolt for the boulevard clamp goes through here. So you can't cut your bottom rail too long. If you cut it too long, you won't be able to get the bolt through. We've got all our rails, top and bottom rails installed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get the bottom rails. I want to get them just up just a hair off the ground and get everything tightened up from one end to the other, and then we can start hanging the actual chain link, or the fabric they call it, on, and then we'll adjust the height of the top rails once we're done that. So now we're going to hang some actual fence. We've got a piece here that's about the length we need for this panel. It comes on 50-foot rolls. There, we already got that piece up there. That's 30 feet. And this is what's left over from that. So it should do this. This is about 20 feet. It should do this. So we're going to start by installing a tension rod down this end of it. And then we can get it attached to those tension clamps there. That's our first step. Once we've got it attached at this end, we're just going to go along here and put a couple of these little hanger straps on here, but loosely, because we want the fence to be able to slide along this top rail when we start pulling it tight. So now I've stuck a tension rod down there, and we've got one of these fence pulling tools. You can get these anywhere. And we've just got the old Kubota here and a ratchet strap, and we're just slowly pulling it. And while you're pulling, you kind of make sure that it's sliding along the poles and that it's not getting bound up on anything. So far, so good. And what you're looking for is just like that. We could put maybe a tiny bit more tension on it, but you don't want much more than that. You don't want to overstretch it. Once we're happy with the amount of tension on it, we can go ahead and lash it to this line post here, so that with these things, so that when we release the tension on that, it's going to hold it there. And the only thing we have to tension at the end is this kind of panel here. It makes sense when you do it. What we have to do now is kind of pull this the rest of the way and get it here and figure out how much we have to remove from the end, so that we'll be able to drop our tension rod in there and get this thing anchored to the post. I think we've got it here. We need to take out, well, I haven't got enough hands, but I'll be back when I've got it apart. So you can see there, we're very close. So all we do is just give it a little extra pull with this thing to get these, we got to get these carriage bolts started through here. And once we've got the 5 of them in, then we can release the tension on this. There we go. So this is all together now. Now we can release the tension on the puller and we can start tightening stuff up. That looks good. So now we can go ahead, tighten all the bolts. We can tighten the rail clamps on the top rail. And then all that's left to do is use the little ties and tie it to the top rail and the bottom rail. And that'll be this panel done. Well, under the category of once in a while you're going to screw up, we screwed up. But that's okay if you can figure out how to deal with it. So when I bought these gate kits, it comes in a kit in a box, and it does anything from like whatever 24-inch up to 72. I had that in my mind, 72, so I said it's a 72-inch gate. So I added my 3 3/4 inch and made the hole 75 3/4, not realizing when they say 72-inch gate, they mean it's made to fit in a 72-inch hole. Oops. So we've got a little problem here. That gate ain't gonna reach. So screwing up is okay so long as you can kind of figure out how to deal with it. So what we're gonna do, it's no worry at all. This stuff here, it's the same as top rail. So I've got a couple of hunks of top rail left. So we're just gonna cut a couple of new pieces that are like, they gotta be that much longer. There should be enough give in the fence mesh that we should be able to stretch it to fit, and we'll be okay. I measured, and what you want is about 1 3/4 or 2 inches in there. So to accomplish that, I had to make new rails that were 2 inches longer. And this is only 1.5 inch mesh. So I don't think the piece of mesh that they gave me is probably going to reach anymore. So we may have to cut a new piece of mesh for it. But we'll find that out. I'm going to go string the mesh onto this now, and we'll see what we got. There we are. After a lot of mussing and fussing, we got this thing together. This little gate is one that we got at the auction for $2. You can't go wrong with that. Those bloody gate kits that we bought like for those big gates and didn't end up using very much of them were over $100. So this is a good bargain. So all we got to do is measure. We need to make the gate 3 3/4 to 4 inches narrower than this hole. So we'll have to take it apart. There's the slip joint there, and just cut it back a little bit to the right size, and we'll be all set. So here's this gate. Now you may see that we've got 5-foot fence, but this gate seems to be 4'6". So that's okay. We'll just nip this stuff off. We'll make a nice finished edge on the top of this. It's no problem at all. It'll look just fine when we're done. All right, we're not 100% finished yet, but we're gonna find out what these two loons think of their new place. I think they like it, especially the big pile of dirt in the middle. I went around the whole thing, and top and bottom, I put a little wire tie about every 2 feet. At this end, I did it about every 18 inches because this is where, I mean, they'll see people walking up and down the road there, and they'll be jumping on the fence here. So I did a little extra on this end. I'd have to say, I'm pretty sure these two boys like their new little yard here. Well, that'll wrap things up for phase 1 of our building a compound series, I guess we'll call it. We've got the chain link done. In the next video, we're going to be working inside here. We're going to put up Deb's shed, and we're going to build the fort for these two dogs. I think they'll like that very much. So that'll do it for this one. We're going to go now and start making a materials list of what we need for phase 2. And I'll see you back when that's underway. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. I hope you'll come and join us again. And until then, I'm Kevin saying so long for now. There they go.